Okay. Uh, a very good morning to all. This is our session for 301 Strategic Management. And now we are going to start with a new unit, that is company's internal environment. Okay. So in our last unit, we have seen about the basic understanding related to strategy, then how the strategy formulation process goes on in the organization, which are various other required necessary techniques, and also after that today we are going to start with company's internal environment. Okay, so let us move on to the introduction part. Okay, an internal environmental analysis is an extensive review of all aspects of company's organization operations, internal guidance and missions. Means what? Whenever organization is carrying out company's internal analysis or environmental analysis, so what happens in that, the company's entire operation, each and every thing that is going on in the organization, everything is been analyzed. Means it is evaluated that how the organization and how all the departments, all the operational areas of the organizations are performing. Okay, so that is called as environmental analysis. And how it is done? It is done by very much internal guidance and the mission, so that whatever the loopholes that are currently existing in the organization environment or in the internal environment or of the organization, it could get detected and the organization can work upon it. Okay, so for that purpose, internal and environmental analysis is carried out. See, whenever we are talking about environmental analysis, it can be external as well as internal, but for today here we are talking about the internal environmental analysis. Internal environmental analysis means what? The analysis which is carried out within the organization and not outside the organization. Okay, so in this way, the internal environmental analysis helps the organization to identify various operations that are going on, their smoothness, how it is been carried out, and so on. Okay, aspects of operations typically reviewed are marketing strategy, production capacity, and company's vision and leadership. So what, so these are few important things that have been actually studied and given attention towards, because a marketing strategy is something, if it didn't work, then organization is not going to gain profit and it will have to bear huge losses. So marketing strategy is of keen importance, and hence it is continuously studied that the marketing strategy implemented throughout the organization so as to raise the sales is appropriate or not, it is going in line or not, and how it is, at what level it is being positively applicable, applied. Then production capacity is another important thing, because if the production is not going in a smooth way, organization won't be able to supply the required demand of the customers, and hence customer will try to move to other equivalent or alternative products. So production capacity should always be checked, and the company's vision and leadership. See, vision is something on which the entire organization is moving forward, right? So it is of keen importance, and whatever the operations, whatever the work that is going on in the organization, it is to be observed and identified and learned that it is going in line with the vision of the organization, because if it is not working towards the vision, then what's the use of it, right? So whatever the operations and things that are going on in the organization should follow the vision of the organization. And the leadership, why leadership? Because without a good leadership, without a strong leadership, organization cannot work in a smooth way, and could not be an effective organization. So leadership plays a very vital role while considering the working of any organization. Okay, the non-profit organization may also conduct a similar analysis. So it is not only the case of organizations which are working for profit, but the not non-profit organizations are also conducting similar kind of internal analysis so as to analyze its interdepartmental work, how it is going on, to evaluate their performance and so on. The value chain analysis describes the activities the organization performs and links them to the organization's competitive position. So, what does value chain do? It just identifies and describes what are the various activities that are taking place in the organization, how it is performing, and it links the organizational activities with the organization's competitive position. Means where the organization stands in the competition, and the activities that is organization doing currently, so as to come ahead in the competition. So are they working or being helpful for the organization? Are they in line with whatever strategy is being played by the organization, and everything is going in a smooth way or not? Or and these activities, are they or are not helping the organization, is also identified and studied. Okay. Then organizational capability. Organizational capability focuses on internal processes and systems for meeting customer needs and creates organization specific competencies that provide competitive advantage since they are unique. So, whenever we are talking about competitive advantage, that is something that the organization has which other organizations may or may not have, but this organization has it very strongly, and it is been useful to get ahead in the competition. Means it is giving them advantage in the fierce competition. So that unique quality of the organization is called as competitive advantage. Okay. So what does organizational capability focuses? It focuses on the internal processes and the systems for various customer meetings and whatever customer needs are there, and create the organization specific competencies. Means as per the requirement of the organization, as so as to achieve the requirement of the customer, such competencies that are been developed by the organization, these are helpful for getting competitive advantage in the uh, race of the organization. Okay. Then portfolio analysis is a systematic way to analyze the product and services that make up an association's business portfolio. So this is one kind of another system so as to analyze organization internally, that is portfolio analysis. So see, as we have seen all these things, that is, first one is internal environmental analysis, then identifying various strategy and capacity and all, then the value chain, then the organizational capability, and right now we are studying about the portfolio analysis. So these are all the kind of techniques that have been used by the organization so as to identify its internal environment or internal analysis. Okay. So again, portfolio analysis is a kind of systematic way to analyze the products and services that make up an association's business portfolio. Means whatever the products and services the organization is producing, so for them a portfolio is designed by the organization, and depending on its category, the products and services of the organization are placed into different sub part of that portfolio. Okay, we are going to see that in detail further. Have you all got this till now? Yes. समझते का? Hello. Hello. Hmm. Okay. Now companies internal environment. Okay. So let us see about it. Internal environments refer to the quantity and quality of an organization's physical and human resource, including finances, managerial talents, and expertise in marketing, production, research, and development. So, whenever we are talking about internal environment, what does it refer to? It refers about the quality as well as the quantity of organization's physical and human resources. Human resources are nothing but the employees working in the organization. Then the finances means how much fixed asset the organization has, how much cash, how is the cash flow of the organization, what are the investments, and so on, all kind of finances. Then managerial talents, then its expertise in the marketing and production, then research and development areas. So all these are nothing but these all things refer to the internal environments. If the company possesses competitive advantage to compete in its market and industries, it would be imperative to scan its internal environment. Scanning and analyzing the external and competitive environment does not throw light on the competitive advantage of the company. So, see, if you are going to have a competitive advantage so as to compete in the market and industry, but if you are not doing its a proper analysis, then it is of no use. Okay, only the scanning and analyzing the external or the competitive environment is not sufficient, and it doesn't through light on the competitive advantage, means the plus point that the organization has. It will only focus on the external things that are moving, going on, and what is their impact. Okay, so as to analyze what is with the organization, and with that what it can do in the competition, you need to carry out the internal analysis. Okay, so contrary to assertions of Michael Porter, Rumlett argues that the defining factor in differential firm performance is not the industry structure within which the company finds itself. Rather, it is more with factors at the individual company level, such as its resources, that determine if the company will be able to take mileage of opportunities while avoiding threats. So unless and until organization does not know that what are its advantages, what is the plus point the organization has, or what is its competitive advantage, he won't be able to utilize them in a very effective or you can say a majority of effective way. So to do that, it should first get to understand that what is the competitive advantage organization has, what are the strength of the organization, what are the weaknesses of the organization, and what they can do to overcome this weaknesses. Then you should then organization also carries out the opportunities and the threats that exist in the environment for them, then to identify the various threats that are in the market and how they can work upon these threats, and how they can grab this opportunity is of big importance. Because unless and until they don't carry out these various kinds of analysis, they won't be able to identify that what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses. They won't be able to understand that what are the opportunities lying out there and what are the threats that can hamper them. So to identify all these things, it is very necessary to determine that company is whether or not carrying out an environmental analysis, and if the company will be able to take the mileage of opportunity while avoiding the threats. It can only be identified by analyzing the environmental uh, surrounding and its impacts. Okay, then let us see about the meaning. So, scanning an internal environment is also known as organizational analysis. So, whenever you are scanning or identifying or studying, you can say the internal environment of the organization, means the environment within the organization. It is also known as organizational analysis or internal capability analysis. Okay, so profiling the organization or resource audit is the process of assessing at company's posture relative to its current position. So what happens while carrying out the profiling of the organization or doing resource audits? What happens, it is the process by which the organization possesses you can say assesses that what is the posture of the organization, where does it stand with it in its current competition, what is its current position. Okay, so competition within and outside the industry, then the overall performance and its capability in terms of strengths and weaknesses. So all these things are very important to identify so as to overcome the threats and grab the opportunities. Okay, so all these things are continuously being assessed by the organization, and this assessment is a part of internal environmental scanning. So now let us see about the resource based view of a frame. So meaning of it, the based view framework combines the internal, that is your core competencies, means the competencies that the organization has, and the external perspective on strategy. Okay, means the industrial structure. So the competitive advantage is ultimately attributed to the ownership of a valuable resources. Okay, so the resources are more broadly defined to be physical, intangible, or organizational. So what happens in this, resources are broadly defined, means the resources are divided into subparts, that is physical resources in which the properties, rights, then capital, all these things comes. Then the intangible resources wherein the brand names, technological know-how, all this comes. And the organizational things, that is the routines or the process like lean manufacturing, etc. These are all things coming around. Okay, so this is identified and analyzed. Then resource types of resources. So resources refers to the assets of the company, as we all know. Right, a company's resources can be divided into two types, that is tangible and intangible resources. Now, the tangible resources are physical entities such as land, buildings, then the manufacturing plants, then the equipments, the inventory, and the money as well. While the intangible resources are what? These are the non-physical entities. Okay, means you can't touch them, but you can just experience them, right? So, intangible resources are the non physical entities that are created by managers and other employees. Now, see, when we were talking about the tangible resources, all these things came under that part, like manufacturing plants, equipment, inventory, money. These are all the things that we can touch. But when we were talking about now intangible resources, so these are the non-physical ones, right? And these are created by the managers and other employees, such as brand name. You can't touch the brand name, but yes, you can feel that the brand is getting very popular. You can identify that your brand is really famous amongst certain group of people, and so on. Then the reputation of the company, right? So that is also one kind of, you can say, asset for the organization, and a kind of intangible resource. Then the knowledge that employee have gained through experience, and the intellectual property of the company, that can include patents, then copyrights, trademarks, etc. And all the resources of two types are again then as follows. See here, as I told you right now, that things that can be touched, you consider those physical things at the uh, tangible resource part, right? But the things which cannot be touched upon, or you can just experience them, or you can just analyze them, comes under intangible. So detailed diagrammatical representation is given over here. You can just see the types of resources are two types. First one is tangible resource, and another one is intangible. Now, in this tangible resources, what happens? Tangible resources are the resources wherein you can touch them, you can just observe them. You can, they are physical in nature. Okay, so what all comes under them? The financial resources, then the organizational resources, the physical resources, and the technological resources. When we are talking about the intangible, so they are non-physical type of resources. And what kind of resources come under them? Human resources, then innovation resources, and reputational resources. Okay, now let us see in detail types of resources. Tangible resources. Okay, so tangible resources are the assets that can be seen and qualified. So you can just see them, you can, they have a physical structure, and you can experience them by touching, right? So the production equipment, the manufacturing plants, and the formal reporting structures are all the examples of tangible resources. There are total four types of tangible resources, which are as follows. The first one is the financial resources, like the firm's borrowing capacity. Then the second one, the firm's ability to generate the internal funds. So these two are the first kind of resources, that is financial resources. Then the organizational resources, what comes under it? The firm's formal reporting structure and its formal planning, controlling, coordinating system is again a part of organizational resources. Then the third one, the physical resources, sophistication and location of the firm's plant and equipment. So these are all kind of the physical resources of the organization. Then access to the raw material, okay, the raw material out there in your godown or etc, whatever place you're storing it, so it again becomes the physical resources. Okay. Then the technological resources, stock of technology such as patents, trademark, copyrights and trade secrets. Then as tangible resources, a firm's borrowing capacity and the status of its plant and equipment are visible to all. Okay, so everyone can just see the equipments and whatever the status, the organization, that is, you can say the manufacturing plant has, if anyone can just observe and identify them, right? So these resources are tangible in nature and visible to all. The value of many tangible resources can be established through financial statements. Means, for take an example, if a setup of a manufacturing plant, you can easily carry out a calculation for what are the investment and how you can identify what are the cost of the equipment, what are the depreciations, and you can identify the price of the product, right? So the price of the product for which a particular plant can have its own, right? So such kind of resources are the tangible resources. Now next is intangible resources. So the intangible resources include assets that are rooted deeply in the firm's history and that have accumulated over the time. So any kind of resources that are very deep in the deeply existing, and it has a certain history, and that too it is over a longer period of time. So such kind of resources are very interlinked and close to each other. And under them again you can see there are three types of them, that is three types of intangible resources. The first one is the human resource. So how you can describe it? It is all about the knowledge, the trust, the managerial capacity, and finally the organizational business that these have, and their impact, right? Though they are intangible, but we can see a vast impact of them also, and they sometimes cannot be calculated in terms of money, but yes, you can uh, get its output in terms of many other things which are again intangible in nature. Okay. Then second one is innovation resources. So under innovation resources, what does it comes? The ideas, the scientific capabilities, then the innovation capacity. So all these things are the part of innovation resources. And the last one is the reputational resources. So first point under it is the reputation with customers. So the brand name, perception of the product quality, durability, and the reliability. So all these things comes together to make this a certain product uh, a strong output of manufacturing, and hence the reputation with the customer due to this increases. So good reputation will lead to heavy sales and good mouth publicity. So ultimately it is going to benefit the organization, though it is not tangible in nature, but will be financially helping the organization. Then the reputation with suppliers, for efficient, effective, supportive, and mutually beneficial interaction and relationship. So reputation is very necessary, because if the organization is reputed, it can have a very effective kind of it can ask for a very effective kind of support, and you can say efficiency from the suppliers point of time. And for that, what is necessary? The interaction and the relationships in the organization, and how they are working. So these things help the organization to cope up. Okay. Then analyzing the company's resources and competitive position. Resources are inputs to a firm's production process. Capital equipment, the skill of individual employees, patents, then finances and talent managers are all resources. Yes, we all know that resources are kind of input for any kind of production firm, because without input they are not going to run, right? So the capital equipment, whatever has been made, then all kind of skills, the resources individual employee possesses, what are the patents of the organization, then the finances, the talented managers, all contribute to the part of resources of the organization. So in broad sense you can say that resources cover a spectrum of individual, social and organizational phenomenon. So so what happens, the resources are all of kind, means they are of all of different kind, right? So it can be individual, it can be social one, it can be organizational also. So analysis of companies resources is important in formulation of strategy. So before designing any strategy, it is very necessary that organization should know that what does it has, what are the qualities is it possesses, because once you apply the strategy and then you are going to work on it, it will not be going to helping you. So you should very from before know that key what is the capacity of the organization, what are the qualities and capabilities the organization possesses. Okay, so analyzing those can help you to better formulate the strategy with the information of what the organization possesses and how it can better use that. Then when effective brand names inform customers about a product's performance, characteristics, attributes and the value, then resources are the sources of a firm's capabilities. Then a firm's competitive advantage is a function of the company resources and capabilities. Uh, its ability to mobilize these resources and capabilities is creating strategic assets and sustained market performances. It can be explained with the following figure. Now let us see this figure. So you can just see resources tangible and intangible, depending upon that the capabilities are developed, then depending on that the core competencies are identified, and then discovering core competencies, right? So again core competencies, two things come, that is the criteria, four criteria of sustainable advantage, and then the value chain analysis. And after this core competent discovering core competencies, the next step is to identify the competitive advantage and the strategic competitiveness. So all these things are been done, but while studying the value chain analysis, it's a kind of outsourcing thing. And when we are talking about the four criteria of sustainable advantages, in it is about the valuable, rare, costly and non-sustainable products that cannot be manufactured by others. Okay, now next uh, is everyone getting this? Yes. Hello. Hello. हां. सायली, जर काही कळलं नाही तर सांगा मला. हं. आता अनालायझिंग कंपनीज रिसोर्सेस अँड कॉम्पिटेटिव्ह पोझिशन. ओके, सो फर्म्स कपॅबिलिटीज. आता जेव्हा आपल्याला कॉम्पिटेटिव्ह पोझिशन ऑर्गनायझेशनची काय आहे, म्हणजे कॉम्पिटिशनमध्ये आपलं ऑर्गनायझेशन कुठे आहे हे बघण्यासाठी आपल्याला दोन गोष्टी कराव्या लागतात, फर्म्स कपॅबिलिटीज आणि कॉम्पिटेटिव्ह पोझिशन, राईट? So, firms' capabilities. Compared to tangible resources, intangible resources are superior and more potent sources of core competencies. म्हणजे जर तुम्ही टँजिबल आणि इनटँजिबल रिसोर्सेस दोन्ही पाहिलं, तर त्यांच्यामध्ये जी टँजिबल रिसोर्स आहे ना, त्याच्यापेक्षा इनटँजिबल रिसोर्स, म्हणजे ज्यांना आपण टच नाही करू शकत बट आपण एक्सपिरियन्स करू शकतो, त्या इनटँजिबल आहेत. जसं की आपलं ब्रँड नेम, आपलं यू कॅन से क्वालिटी, नंतर ओपिनियन्स ऑफ द कस्टमर, हे सगळे इंटँजिबल रिसोर्सेस आहेत, बरोबर? तर हे इंटँजिबल रिसोर्सेस कम्पेअर्ड टू टँजिबल खूप जास्त सुपिरियर असतात, कारण ह्यांच्यामध्ये पोटेन्शियल असतं आपल्या कोर कॉम्पिटन्सीजला डेव्हलप करायचं, राईट? as a source of capabilities. Just a second. Okay. So as we were talking that compared with the tangible resources, intangible resources are more powerful. Why? Because they are the part of our core competencies, right? As a resource of capabilities, tangible and intangible resources are a critical part of the pathway to development of the competitive advantage. So whenever you want to go ahead in the competition, and at that time what you need to do, you need to more focus on this intangible resources along with tangible, because these intangible resources, though they we think that they are not of that importance, but they play a very vital role in moving entire competition up way around, right? So you should all, whenever being a manager for any kind of organization, everyone need to focus on these intangible resources, wherein the things like brand, then your image, then your position, or what the people opinion about your organization, all these things comes under these intangible resources, and they play a very important role while getting ahead you in the competition. Okay. Then analysis of the company's competitive position. So although companies regularly confirm that customers and competitors have the biggest influence on their profitability, they do not undertake any systematic analysis of their activities. Okay. So what happens to the companies regularly working, right, with the customers and the competitors, and they think that yes, the customers are going to influence their profitability, along with that the competitors which are in with them in the race, they are also going to impact the profitability, right? So they do not undertake any kind of systematic analysis for these activities, and constantly information about them is rarely collected and documented. So such study is essential before taking any kind of strategic decision. So while the organization is trying to take any kind of strategic decision, it is very necessary that they should continuously keep on studying in a very systematic way. They should do the analysis of their competitors, of their customers, and all these things should be continuously documented, so as to gain certain input, certain gist that would be helpful for the organization to take any kind of decision, because ultimately on the customers and the competitors, the profitability of the organization depends. So it is very necessary that a systematic and continuous study of this is to be done. Okay. Now analyzing companies resources and competitive position. So the types of forces that affects the competitive strength of the organization are, means which are the things that will affect the competitive strength of the organization, then they are as follows, like ability to compete on cost, then the ability to match the rivals, then influence and bargaining power, then technology and innovation, the brand image, then matching the company's resources, then profit margins relative to competitors, and the relative market share. So these are all the things that has a very much effect, or that can affect on the competitive strength of the organization. So let us see them in detail now. So analyzing the company's resources and competitive position. So first point is the relative market share. So how this market share of the organization has impact on the competitive position. So it's like the first thing, relative market share. So this is the ratio of a company's market share by the volume to its nearest rival. For example, if a company has a 25% share and its nearest rival has 50% share, the relative market share is zero point 0.5 if the relative rival share is higher. Then the competitive strength is greater compared to its rival. Okay, so what happens if the company has only 25% of the share, and its nearest rival, means the nearest competitor, has 50% relative market share? Then what happens? Its relative market share becomes only 0.5%. And if the relative market share is higher, then the competitive strength of the company is greater to its rival. But if the relative market share is less, then the company has low competitive strength, means low power. So for such kind of analysis helps the organization in deciding with the strategy with respect to the market product and how it can be positioned depending upon the relative market share that the organization has. So for that purpose, everyone needs to work upon the relative market share of the organization and where does it stand with its rival, so as to take a proper strategic decision. Okay. The next thing is the ability to compete on cost. Now this provide a strong competitive advantage over rivals. See, if you can provide a same similar product as they are available in the other organizations, but at a cheaper manufacturing price, then it becomes a proper good advantage. Because what happens, the same product, same quality, if you are manufacturing at a per head cost of 10, and if others are manufacturing the same product, same quality at 15 rupees per head price, right? So what happens, if the pricing strategy is like everyone is selling the product at a similar price level, then in that case the organization gains majority of the profit margin, right? Means he enjoys a large range of profit margins as compared to the other rivals, and he can utilize that fund for his more product development. So competitive advantage over rival is when you are having low cost manufacturing but a good quality of product, right? So if companies can achieve low cost parity, if company can achieve cost parity, then the time involved in achieving cost parity must be allowed for. See, it's easy to means just read it out, but when we are talking about cost parity, it is not like you have started manufacturing a year back and now you are going to achieve the cost parity. No, it takes a longer period of time so as to match the break even point, right? And after that, after some time of period, then you can enjoy this uh, low cost parity, or you can say the cost parity. And but it requires ample time to go over there. So if you're wishing to have a competitive advantage over the cost, then you should be uh, able, or you should be understanding that you will need to wait and you should allow the organization to wait so as to achieve that cost parity. Okay. Then the ability to match rivals. The ability to match rivals on key product or services attribute is another force which affects the strategy formulation, quality, technology, reputation, etc. That can affect customer demand and competitive advantage. So see, um, if you want to match the rivals, what you should do, you should be able to uh, provide the customers with the quality, the technological upgradation. Then the reputation is also again important part which the customer demand for. And if you have these things, then you're going to get ahead in the competition, right? So to do that and to get all these kinds of attribute in your product, you need to do various hard work. You need to take various strategic decision. You need to formulate the strategy so as to gain all these things, and then you can attain that level to match the rivals. Then influence and bargaining power. Now, see, influence and bargaining power over buyers and suppliers affect the strategic decisions of the company. This can lower competition in the marketplace and provide competitive advantage. So, if the organization has the bargaining power, then in that case, the organization becomes stronger than the suppliers and the buyers, and they have to somewhere go down with whatever the organization is saying, right? So if the organization is having the bargaining power, it can influence the buyers and the suppliers. But for this, the strategic decision of the organization is also going to matter. And this can also lower the competition, because see, for such kind of situation, the bargaining power should be with the organization, and to gain this bargaining power, the organization should be having little bit of monopoly, or you can say less number of same or similar manufacturers should be less, so that the organization gets the manufacturing sorry competitive bargaining power. Okay, so with this, what will happen? The bargaining power will be with the organization, and the marketplace, all the competition will go low because all the power is with the organization, and hence the competitive advantage will be provided to that organization. Okay, so hence bargaining power is also one of the important thing that can influence the competitive position. Then technology and innovation. Being first to market with technologically advanced and innovative products can lead to competitive advantage. It is very obvious that nowadays we are moving to upgradations and technological hikes, right? So whichever new thing come in the market with an advanced technology, people rush towards it, right? Because everyone want the latest thing with them. So if the organization is coming forward in the race, and that too with the latest technology, then obviously it is going to gain the majority of the market share, because it will get an advantage of being first, right? So that is a kind of advantage if you are first in the area of technology and innovation. The next is the branded image. So strong brand names can command premium prices. So if you have a very strong brand name, then it will gain you premium prices. For example, uh, if you go for Volkswagen or company, right? So it has a very good brand name, so they charge similar facility of car, having all the same things, but certain price more than compared to others, right? And people are ready to give that price. Why? Because of its brand name, and because of whatever name it has gained so far in the competition, right? Then Apple mobile phones, right? Apple has a very strong brand name, so it is selling its mobile phones at a very premium prices. If you'll see a simple phone of 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 of other companies, the similar phone of Apple, you have to pay 50 and 60,000 for that, right? So why this? And people tend to buy that even at that prices. Why? Because it has very strong brand name, it has become famous, and hence people are ready to pay those premium prices, right? So again, brand name are the things which influence, right? Then match the company's resources. The important competitive force is matching the company's resources to key success factors in the industry. When a company's strength matches industry key success factor, a competitive advantage can be gained. So if the company is having key success factors that are required in the industry, and the company's strength lie in that key success factor, a company's strength matches the key success factor, then it is able to provide the requirement of the demand, and hence it gains them the competitive advantage. Okay, then next one is the profit margins relative to competitors. So it is normally a direct result of successful cost competition. This is also an important competitive force of the company's strength. So it is so whenever we're talking about the profit margin, then it is very much, you can say, directly related to the cost. If the cost is low, then the profit margins are high, right? So if the company is successfully able to result into successful cost competition, then it will get competitive advantage, because this low cost manufacturing becomes the company's strength. Okay, so in this way, there are various things that influences the competitive position of the organization. So in this way, all the things work. So any doubt so far? Yes. Okay, so we will stop this part till this today, and continue in our next session. I hope you all have understood whatever has been taught today. In case of any doubt, you can ask me in next session. So till then, I conclude our today's session, and thank you all for attending. Thank you.